Okay. The I think it's called the yud. It looked like sometimes it had a sound and sometimes it didn't have a sound.
Right. So when it comes with the, let me share my screen here. When it comes with the E vowel,
Yeah.
it does not make a sound.
It just is the E sound.
Correct. When it comes with the A sound, like malchei,
it doesn't make a sound.
Doesn't make a sound. When it's its own letter, which I don't even think it is here anywhere. It's not here in its own letter.
Then page 25, it might be.
But right, so here's page 20. This is Yale, right?
Okay.
So it does make a sound.
Have a vowel underneath it.
When it has a vowel underneath it, it makes a sound. So
okay,
it's kind of like RY, where sometimes it's a consonant, sometimes it's part of a vowel.
Got you.
If the Y was paired with like AY or EY or OY, right? Then it kind of takes on that.
Got
so it's one of those hybrid.
Just to confuse me.
Yeah, it's confusing for sure.
My next question is, I think it's called the semi-vowel or sort of sheva or something. The two dots underneath each other.
Yes.
At the beginning, it said, when you first showed it to us, you said it's silent, or at least I wrote down silent. But then later on, because I've missed those few lessons, on the bottom, it said it had a sound. So I got totally confused with that.
Hold on, let me go to that page.
It was, I didn't write down the page, sorry.
Okay, I'm just scrolling through. I'm gonna find it. Doesn't have a sound, but sometimes it's a stop, right? So
it's on page 12.
Right. So page 12, let me share my screen. And here we go. So page 12. Like here, malchei, right? So it's actually like almost like a syllable stopper, malchei. But when you put those two together, you have to make some sort of a sound. So it could sound like or ah or something like that. So it's malchei, right? You can't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're sort of making it into a sound.
Right, exactly. So it does not have a sound. The schwa is completely silent, but it kind of, in the middle of the word, it stops the word. So it stops the syllable, malchei.
Malchei doesn't have a sound.
Correct.
I also get confused with that.
It is that's one of the concepts that's very confusing, because if there was no schwa there, you would just say malchei. You know,
yeah.
But the schwa just means stop. So it's malchei. And so again, when you're reading faster, right, it's malchei, because you're rolling into the next sound. So it's very, very slight. I'm trying to find another one on this page.
Go to the next word. It has it.
Right. Hamelachim. Hamelachim. Right. So you can't say the ma without saying the afterwards, right? Hamelachim. So it's hard to pronounce it. So there isn't really a sound. It's just stopping, right? Because you wouldn't say ha malachim, because that's totally different.
Right.
So I don't know why, that's.
So if it wasn't there, would you say, oh, you took it away?
Oh, sorry. If it wasn't there, so there is something on the same page. There's something here on the same page, like, I saw it up here. Hold on. Here's malchei. and malchei. Those are pronounced the same, malchei and malchei. It's really a grammatical thing, whether it's there or not. And I couldn't tell you when to put it in a word and when to not if you were spelling it.
But you're pronouncing them both the same? But I
Correct.
thought you were saying if it's there, you sort of, so the first
It's
one I
there
would
as a-
say,
Right, it's there as a
malchei.
syllable stopper.
okay,
So malchei, where you want to try to blend the lamed and the chaf,
uh-huh.
and here malchei, where you want to stop.
So you're making more like a la sound,
Right.
like a the sound, kind
Uh-huh. Yeah.
of. Okay.
It's very slight. And if you ever read Torah, nobody's gonna stop you and say you didn't pronounce that right. If you pronounce it or don't pronounce, if you pronounce that la or not.
Not. Okay, my next question. I'm sorry if I'm boring.
No, keep asking, keep asking.
Does the shin always have a dot? And I don't know what we call the dot.
Yes, but sometimes it's on the left and sometimes it's on the right. If it's on the right, it makes the sound sh.
Right, okay.
If it's on the left, it's going to make a different sound, which we haven't learned yet, but it's s.
So it's
Right.
not the show. I was thinking it was show because of the dot.
If there's two dots, then it's show, right? If there's a dot on the left and a dot on the right, then you know it's show. If there's only a dot on the left,
Okay.
it's a sin and it's s. Like
Okay,
an
but we
S.
haven't learned that yet.
We haven't learned that yet. It does get confusing sometimes when you read a word and that left dot does double duty. That happens very rarely, but it happens. And I don't know if this book will go over it or not. It might not. So we'll get there, I think, at some point.
Okay. And I have a question of, and I don't know how if it's a vav,
Yep, the
Um,
vav.
with the dot on top, it's an O. With the
Uh-huh.
dot in the middle, it's an U.
Correct.
If there's no dots,
It's a v.
then, so then it's a V sound.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it's all
And
three.
last week I was telling everybody, if you think of the dot on the top, it's oh, and if you think it punching you in the stomach, it's ooh. Like that's the way that we teach kids to remember it, but it's a really good mnemonic or
So it's
memory
not
word.
O, like the letter O. I was pronouncing it O.
It's oh, like part of O, but the part of O without the H.
O.
Oh, like
But shalom.
like page 13, mo cho sho, not mo cho show.
See, I think I've been like I say shalom, om, like more of an O sound.
Right.
So am I mispronouncing it?
I mean, it's an American pronunciation versus like the Israeli pronunciation is shalom, so are people going to know what you're saying? Yes. Nobody's going to be like, oh, it's like, how do you say this word coffee? Like I say it coffee, like it's, that's how I say it. But, so it's, it's a slight variation, but it's not going to make or break you,
I have a question. The he sound, or the he, it's more, ho. Is that always, is that ever a he? Is it ever he? Ho?
So on the first line of page 13, you have mo,
Mo,
ho,
ho,
sho,
sure,
ho,
ho, lo.
and lo.
My question is the second, is that ever he?
If there's a dot inside the chaf, it's going to be ka. I don't think we've learned that yet.
Okay.
When there's a dot inside there, it's going to be ka as opposed to cha.
Okay, that's right. Because sometimes when I'm following in shul, I see that and I'm saying that's a ha, so
Right.
okay.
Right,
I
exactly.
understand now.
Exactly. So
All right.
they're just like we learned. Did we learn the bet last week? We did learn the bet last week. And I said, if there's no dot in the bet, it's going to be v, just like a vav. It's going to be v,
The-
right? So yeah. So there are some of those differences that that make a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to the bet. Where did we get to? I can't remember. Hold on.
26.
26. So we did
Yeah.
24.
No.
Yeah.
I
I
think
don't
we
think so.
stopped short at 24. Because I didn't want to teach you one more letter last week. There were so many, we learned 3 letters and I didn't want to, 3 letters and 2 vowels and didn't want to teach you another one. I thought that was overboard. And that's why I only, when I recorded page 25, I only recorded lines 1 through 8 because it didn't include these letters, right?
Right.
Okay. Somebody emailed me that they couldn't download the recording. Everybody else was okay with it. I emailed that person again with the recording again. Okay.
Was the
And,
recording on, I wasn't with you last week, that was recording on page 25? Is that
Page
one?
25, lines 1 through 8.
I got that, okay,
And then
good.
there was 1 or 2 other recordings. I think I
Oh.
did 2 recordings in both.
The
Yes,
recordings
that was
are very
page-
helpful.
20 and 25.
So thank you.
Right. So that was Debbie's idea to do the recordings and Alice's idea to pause so you could say it right after me. So
Which is great.
we're developing a great little system here, which is great. So any ideas, I'm fully happy to take and run with whatever we got.
Can I ask for one other thing then?
Yeah.
Can you write out the name of the letter when you teach us a letter? Because I then
Yeah.
go and look it up because I want to know what the name of the letter is.
Okay. Sure. All right, so let's start this one on page 24. Now it's called a nun, N-U-N, right? Or N-O-O-N, however you want to pronounce it. And there is the first one there is what it looks like in the middle of the word. And the second one is what it looks like at the end of the word. And I think we talked about this last week. Yeah, we did talk about this last week, but I'll say it again. Let me get up a whiteboard here. Let me get something thicker. We have a nun, which is like this. It's got a short top, and let's say this is the line, you know, where you might have a lamed. And this is the chaf, the final chaf. It's just a longer top than the nun. Okay. This book happens to have a little, wrong screen. Thought I was sharing the book again, but I was not. Okay, here we go. This book happens to have a little curly Q at the top of it, so it's easier to tell the nun from the chaf sofit. Right, here's the chaf sofit. And here's the nun. It has a little curly Q, so it's a little easier to tell. Not all of the Sidurim have that. It depends on what font they're using and whatnot. So, so I'll start out by reading line 1. Ni, nay, nay, ne, na, no, new. Okay, so we got all of the vowels we've learned with the nun in there. Okay, Lucero, you want to do line 2?
Okay. Ni, nil, nim, nin, nir, nish, neat.
Okay, Terry, line 3.
Muni. Muni. um, new, new
got it.
knee, new knee,
Mhm.
ru knee, shoe knee, to knee, knee, who, knee.
Good. Claire, line 4.
Who, ni, huni, ba, rehu, ni, arehuni,
Right.
arehuni,
Barachuni.
arhuni.
Right. Okay. Debbie, line 5.
Ni, Barahu, Barahuni, Barahuni.
Beautiful. Beth, line 6.
Barakuni, Barachuni, Barachu, Barachu, Barachuni.
Line 7, Alice.
Barahuni. L'shalom, malchei, hashalom.
Perfect. And Lucero, let's finish. Oh, we don't have finished. Let's do line 8.
Baruch, Baruch, Hu, Baruch, no,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, Baruch, Baruch, Hu.
Perfect. That was an easy one. Terry, line 9.
Bar, who, knee, the shalom, malachei, hashalom, malchei, elyon.
Perfect. Claire, line 10. Finish that up for us.
Mi melech, malhei, ha melahim, baruch hu.
There you go. And so we recognize lines 9 and 10, right? That's our second verse. I'm going to share my screen and go to the first page because that's an easy one to do. Okay, we know this. Thank you for the little note. Okay, here we go. Sorry, third verse. Bachuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, mimelech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Okay, so that is that. Now I'm going to show you a little something. If you see in this word under the aleph, there is a patach, which is the ah sound, right? The one line is called the patach. You don't need to know the names of the vowels, so don't worry about that. But you've got this line, and then you've got the 2 dots next to it. It doesn't change the vowel at all. It's still an ah. Again, it's a grammatical thing. And if I was writing this out, I wouldn't be able to tell you which ones. I don't even know kamatz and patach, even though that is a grammatical thing that people that graduate high school in Israel know. But the line with the 2 dots next to it is still just ah. Okay, so don't let that throw you.
What is this one of the pages that we just read?
This is page 1, the first
one.
page where it shows the whole Shalom Aleichem. And if
Yes.
you look, I highlighted the word. It's on line 5, the last word before the word before the last word in the line.
Okay.
Okay. So that's where that is.
So can you pronounce it one more time, that one word?
Yeah, malchei. Malchei. You
Malchei.
pronounced it properly when you did it. Malchei.
Right, okay.
Right? Barchuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei, right? That's, so it is no difference whether that double dot is there or not. And it's hard to see on this old, it's like an older book, like that probably has been scanned a few times. So that's why it's a little choppy looking. Okay, so page 25 and 26 are review, which I'll tape for you, obviously. 25 and 26. Let me get my hand, a pen that works on my desk here. That's hard to find some days. Okay, 25 and 26 for sure I will tape. And if we have a little time in a little while, we'll go back to that and just practice that together. But I want to go on to a few new letters because our goal is that for April 3rd, which I want to talk about that class in a second, April 3rd and April 10th, I want to spend time reading from the Haggadah. I'm gonna pick a few phrases that are popular things that we say, right? There are some in the Magid, we don't all necessarily say the same things, but all the brachot are the same. We sing Vihisha Amda, we sing Dayenu, like those things. So I want to pick a couple of key phrases and be able to say, okay, oops, hold on, somebody needs the link to the class. To say, hey, listen, you know, here are some key things and everyone can participate in that, right? Depending on, you know, your Seder and that sort of thing and what you do and whatnot. So we'll try to get to that. Okay, Lila is coming on. Sorry about that. So let me talk a little bit about April 3rd, and I'll write this in the recap email. So April 3rd, I had way back in December, before I even knew I was teaching this class, I made some arrangements to go away that weekend. And my flight is exactly at the time that we're meeting. I tried to change it this week, and it would be more expensive than the whole flight itself to change the flight. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm 2 weeks out, so I don't even know why, but for whatever reason. So I already checked with Julia, and here's what I'm going to offer is that I can either do it a little bit earlier in the night where, you know, I'll be in the airport and we'll do it and it'll be fine, or on Monday night. So I think I'm actually going to offer it twice. Is there anyone that's on here right now that either of those things are not going to be good for? Meaning April 3rd earlier in the evening, like maybe a 6 o'clock, or Monday night. And I'm flexible with the time. It could be the same time. It could be later, earlier, whatever you want. Does those times not work for anyone, either of those two times? That doesn't work for you, Beth. Okay.
That's okay. I just catch up the next week.
Yeah, or I'll get with you offline and we'll find a time that you and I like during the week that we can. So that's fine. So I'm going to offer it twice. If you can't make either one, and I'm actually going to send out one of these like meeting wizards or doodles or something like that. I got to figure out what's free and easy to use for, you know, all of us who are very technology oriented, so that you can sign up for one of them. And if neither of them work for you, just pop me a note and we'll find another time. I really, because I originally, when I originally thought of it, I'm like, well, I'll just cancel that class, no big deal. But it's so close to Passover and I really want to do this. I really want you guys to have something, you know, to show off your new skill at Passover. So I really want to do this with you. So, so I'll make it work for everyone. If I have to have a private lesson with everybody that week, so be it. Just because I want to make sure you guys get it. Okay. So I will send that out after this, you know, along with the recap, I'll send that out about April 3rd. Lila, I was just saying April 3rd. I have
Thank you.
flight arrangement. I'm on a flight at the exact same time as this class. So, but I want to have the class. So we'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you. I'm
All right.
trying to find the page. I just got home a few minutes ago.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Are
we're
we
on page
27?
27. Yes.
Okay, I
So you
found it.
don't need to know from us right now. We can go to either class. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So
Or
what I'm saying is tonight, when I send out the recap after our class with the
Yeah.
with the audio files, I will send a link for you to go on and choose the time you want to go.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
If you sign up for one time and you want to go the other time, I'm fine with that. It's going to be the same class link. I already checked with Julia. She said, just let me know so I don't assign it to anybody else to do anything because it's a women's league, link. So, so she said she would reserve those 2 times for me and that, and that link would be open. So if you sign up for one and you decide to come to the other, by all means do it. I just want to know how many people I'm going to have. And if nobody signs up for, 6 o'clock on Sunday night, then I'm going to tell you guys I'm not having it and we'll do it a different, I'll offer something different or whatever. So I just wanted to let you know before you got the email. And I think that, let me just look at my class list really quickly. I think, let me see who's here and not here. Okay. I have Debbie, I have Sharon, I have Claire, I have Alice, I have Lila, no Nancy, I have Beth. Okay, I have everybody in the class. There's one woman, Nancy, who has never shown for a class. So I have her on my list because she hasn't officially dropped the class, but she hasn't come. So all of you are on here. So I've explained it to all of you. Good. Okay, great. All right. So let's go on to page. Let's go. Let me get this up. All right. So now we're on page 27. New letter. It's called Daled. D-A-L-E-D. Okay, Daled. And it makes a duh sound. Again, I'm gonna go to the whiteboard. And let me see if I can, okay. Stop sharing. Whiteboard. Let's get the whiteboard up. Okay. So I just want to see if I could get a different color because this light color is not so great. I don't know how to change the color. Anyway, okay. So eraser format. Oh, here we go. Here's color. Okay. So the Daled is really like this. Okay. So, we have our Resh, which is more rounded, right? The Daled is just more square E. I'm trying to think of what other letters kind of go with that. The Yud is even smaller, goes like that. So the Daled is a little bit more harsh. It has a little bit more harsh lines than let's say the Resh. Okay. Are you all seeing the book now? No. You are seeing the book? Okay, good. All right. So, oops, let me move this back to this screen. Okay. So the first line I'll do, and then I'll call on you guys. Line 1, duh, D, D, day, day, da, 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 duh, duh, do, do. Okay. So, not difficult, but again, new letter. Let's go with Claire, line 2.
D, D, Bill, Dim, Ding, Dear, Dick, Ish.
Good. Alice, line 3.
Dish, 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 adish, adish, adish.
Right. So you see those last 3 words, adish, adish, same word, same, not same word, but same pronunciation, and hadish, right? They all sound the same, adish, adish, hadish, right? If somebody was speaking very quickly, you wouldn't know what they were saying, if which one it was. Just to point that out. Beth, line 4.
Do, duel, doom, dune, door, doot, douche.
Perfect. Lila, line 5.
Douche, douche. 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 He douche.
Perfect. Debbie, line 6. Debbie, you're muted. You're muted, Debbie. Sorry.
Sorry, my husband was eating, so I muted so you wouldn't hear
No
me.
worries, no worries. And we thank you for that. Line 6.
My question was, I would have said dough, but based on what you were saying before, is it more like da?
Duh,
Can you say it again?
duh,
Duh.
like D-O without it, with the way you're saying it's D-O-H, dough. Right? But it's more like D-O, duh.
Duh.
Uh-huh.
Okay, then do, dol, dome, don, door, dort, dosh.
Right. So the third to last word there, door, right?
Uh-huh.
You wouldn't have said door, right? You would say door, right? Le door va door, right? So that's the difference. Again, if you said shalom, again, nobody's going to correct you and say, well, that's not the correct pronunciation. So, okay. Lucero, line 7.
Dosh, dosh, adosh, adosh, hadosh.
Hadosh, right. Good. Okay. So now we
Wow.
have the ka. Now we talked, so
Hakadosh?
this is
Hakadosh,
Hakadosh, right? So this is a kuf, K-O-O-F or K-U-F or however you want to say. And you see that that this line goes kind of below the line, right? So that part hangs under the line. I'll do the first line. Ki, K, K, Ka, Ka, Ko, Ku. Got it? Terry, line 2.
Call, calm, con, car, cash, cot, cod.
Perfect. That third one from the beginning, right? You have kal, kam, kan. Normally, when you have a 2-letter word, that nun would be a nun sophie, right? Like we learned today, where it's this thin line and whatever.
Right.
But just for pronunciation here, they're giving you the regular nun. Okay,
Okay.
so I don't want you to get too confused. All right, Claire, line 3.
Kad, 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 ka, ish, kadish.
Perfect. Alice, line 4.
Kid, 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 ki, kush, douche, douche. Kiddush.
Perfect. Debbie, line 5.
Kal, come, kun, kar, kash, kat, kad.
Perfect. Beth, line 6.
You know, this is a lot easier when we only know 4 letters. It's getting much harder.
It does, doesn't it?
We need a little cheat sheet.
It's easy. They just say cat, hat, bat, but now it gets crazy. Okay. Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddush. No, wait a minute. Kiddush.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Okay. Kaddish. Wait a minute. Kaddish, Kaddish, Kiddush, Kiddush.
There you go.
Whew. Okay.
And I was gonna say, it's so easy. You had such an easy look. And it was, but you know,
like
it's
what
like one of
about-
those tongue twisters where, you know, you say all these things and all of a sudden they change 2 vowels on you and you have to rethink the whole thing, right?
I think it's
It is,
Yeah.
it is. All right, Lila, line 7.
Cod, excuse me, cod, 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 dosh, kadosh.
Right. And that 4th one is ka. I think you said cod because you had cod for the first 3. All right.
Yeah.
So line 8, Lucero.
And that's the easy one. Kadosh, kadosh, kadosh.
All right. So do line 9 too, Lucero. It's easy also, but still.
9? Did you
Yeah,
say
do 9 too.
Okay. Hakadosh, hakadosh, hakadosh.
All right, Terry, line 10.
Hakadosh, Baruch, Hu, Hakadosh, Baruch Hu.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, Claire, line 11.
Rehuni, leshalom, malchei, hashalom, malchei, elyon.
And Debbie, finish it off for us.
Mi melech, malchei, hamlachim, hakadesh, baruch.
Kadosh.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where am I?
The 3rd from the end. Hakadosh.
Hakadosh, baruch hu.
Perfect. And that's what we had, I think, 1 or 2 pages ago, that we knew all of the letters here for Barchuni L'Shalom, right? That's the 3rd verse of Shalom Aleichem. Okay. So I think we're just going to learn one more letter for today. This is a letter that we don't have in English. I'm going to share my screen and go to the text. It's a Tsarik, right? Tzadik, Tsarik. And it's this funky little letter here. And it makes a sound like the double Z in pizza. Tsa, 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 right? They have a TZ sound. But I like to say the double Z in pizza. When you say pizza, it's that tsa sound. It's just not something we have in English to translate.
Could you write the Tzadik in the ayin for us,
Yes.
please?
Let me get up that whiteboard that I love. Okay. The ayin is like the, oops, let me get a better thing. The ayin is like this, and the tsarik is more like this. Those are going to be hard. Those are going to be difficult to discern, I know. But I guess when you know, I don't know how, how you're going to remember that on a cheat sheet for yourself. But when you have this little thing sticking out, that's the tzadik versus the ayin. Let me see what it said. Yeah. I'm seeing if we have the tzadik and the ayin on the same page here. Yeah, it's hard to see, but on page 31, the summary on page 31, the second line is ayin, and the last line is the tzadik. So you can kind of compare them, where the ayin has the little thing coming out of its belly, and the tzadik has the thing coming out of its back. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll do line 1. We'll go through this, and then it looks like we are into just a big summary, which I'll record for you as well. And what was I going to say? Yeah, and then we've got a couple of letters and a couple of nuances to talk about, but for the most part, we've got most. No, we've got a couple of more letters. We've got probably 5 or 6 more letters. But anyway, okay. So the first line is see, say, se, sa, so, su. You guys want to do it with me now? Let's do line 1 together, okay? See,
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 say,
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 sa,
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 so,
so,
su,
su. Okay, it's a hard letter. Like I said, it's not something we have in English, so it's a little different. All right, now I'm going to ask for volunteers. Who wants to volunteer line 2? Just raise your hand. All right,
I'll try.
Claire is all over it. Okay.
Say, said, say, sell, sem, sen, sen.
Right. Remember, the 2 dots is more of an A sound than an S sound, even though it's very, very close. Again, it's
So
not,
I should say,
yes.
say. Okay. I get confused with those two
I
dots.
know.
oh, there you go, the sign and the tzadik, ayin and the tzadik.
You got it, Alice. You
Yeah.
understand. The ayin has the line coming out of its belly, and the tzadik has the line coming out of its back. Right? The tzadik is like a
Yeah, and-
hunchback.
And they're opposite, like left, one is going to the right, and the other one goes to the left.
Correct. So that's why I said stomach and back, right? So the tzadik is leaning over like a hunchback, and he's got something coming out of his back. The ayin is leaning back, and he's got something coming out of his stomach.
Yeah,
Okay,
got it.
good. I saw the
I
light
just
bulb,
got
Alice.
one.
Good job. All right. Line 3. Again, volunteer, because it's a hard letter. All right, Beth, you're up.
All right, let's say, ser,
Sake. That's a
Sake?
k, right?
oh,
Okay,
not a ch, not a ka, but not ka, a
right.
ka, sake. Okay, sake, ser, seish, sate.
Yes.
So
So if you
say,
look
sake,
at
sake.
if you look at the second word in line 3, it's sake. And if you
Sake.
look at line 7, it's mimelech, right? So look at the 2 letters. The ka is a little bit different. Okay. Alice, I saw your hand up, line 4.
That was the line 3. Okay. um, say, 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 techem, say, techem,
Seitchem,
eitchem.
seitchem, right? There's an exclamation point there because that's a word in Shalom Aleichem, right? Seitchem leshalom, right? Seitchem. That A is so hard. And the tsa is hard too. And be careful, by the way, you didn't do this, Alice, but it just popped in my head. Make sure you make it that tsa sound because there is a z sound in Hebrew. We haven't learned it yet. But some people will sometimes say the z because it's so much easier than tsa, but it's a totally different letter. So it's something that it's going to be hard for you to work on this week. But which is why I'm limiting it to these 3 letters, and that's it this week.
Can I
Because
answer just a question about that last word? So if you, that last word, say, however you say it, how many
Seitchem.
syllables? 2 syllables, right? Seit, chem, not 3, not seitchem.
Seitchem would be 2 syllables, but when we sing it's seitchem leshalom, so it almost sounds like 3. Seitchem, right?
So it's the tsa, it's the first 3 letters are 1 syllable, and the last 2 are the other syllable. So seit,
Correct.
chem.
Seitchem.
Okay.
Yes.
Seitchem. Okay.
But
thank
when you sing it, the A kind of, kind of
Yeah.
moves into the next syllable. It's
Right,
almost
okay.
its own syllable.
Seitchem. Okay, thank
Say
you.
etchem, right? When you're singing it, it's a kind of a third syllable there that you're adding. So, and that happens a lot of times in the Siddur. And I'm trying to think of, I think in the prayer for the state of Israel, which if I could flip to it. If I can find it. Oh, it's not in this Siddur maybe, or it's before Ashrei. Hold on, here it is. I can't find it. I had an example, but I can't find it. Okay. Okay, let's go on to line 5. I'm looking for volunteers because it's a hard one. All right, Lila, you're up.
I'll try it. Say, techem, zeitchem, zeitchem.
Seitchem, right. Okay. All right, line 6 and 7, those are part of our Shalom Aleichem. Who wants to do it? 6? Anybody?
I,
All right, Claire goes again.
Zeitchem leshalom, malchei, shalom, malchei, alyon.
Okay, just make sure on that malchei that you're not over pronouncing under the lamed because there's nothing there, right? So don't over pronounce it. You'll be fine. Nobody's taking you to jail or stopping you in a Torah reading for putting that extra sound in there. But I'm trying to give you like the absolute correct, right?
So it's malchei.
Malachei, right? Not meleachei, right? It's hard. Okay, Terry, line 7.
Mimelech, malchei, hamlachei.
Chim. Hakadosh. Dosh. Baruch. Oh,
You got it. So now I'm going to flip to page 1. I'll share my screen so you guys don't have to flip if you don't want. So we have learned all of this? We've learned all of the first verse. We've learned all of we've learned the whole thing, I think, right?
Can we sing it?
Kadosh Baruch, yes.
All right, so let's sing it together. You ready? I will go slow. Shalom
Aleichem. Malchei Hasharet.
Me.
Melech malchei hamlachim. Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom. Malchei Hashalom. Malchei Elyon. Melech malchei hamlachim. Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom. Malchei Hashalom. Malchei Elyon. Melech malchei hamlachim. Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom. Malchei Hashalom. Malchei Elyon. Melech malchei hamlachim. Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Did it. We did it.
Thank you.
Amazing, right?
yes.
So amazing. I feel like we really, really accomplished. Okay, so I'm going to record for you page 31 as well. Let me put my Siddur away.
Can I ask you a question before we get off?
Of course. Oh,
Let's say, for example, on line 2, there is the 2 dots on a lot of the words, like on Baruch, like the 2 dots in the.
right. When it's at the end of the word, it's telling you to stop. Again, it's a grammatical thing. It's telling you to stop, but you would have stopped anyway.
So
right?
it's silent.
It's silent.
Okay.
It's silent. Right? I mean, when you say the word Baruch, which we say, hundreds of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's Baruch.
Okay. That's what I thought, but
Yep. I know. And that's why that note is so confusing. I'm going to tell Julia next semester to take it, to white it out of the book, because it's so frustrating. Now that you said it, I'm reading it. I'm like, when is it ever like that? Like, as I was singing it, Debbie, it's funny. Line 3 is Boachem, right? And I sang it Boachem, like you said, like I say, oh, and I sang it like that. And it's just because that's how kind of everybody's doing it, right? Everybody's doing it, so we're all doing it. But it's Boachem, right? And I think, it's funny when there was a cantor who came to our shul. He was like a father of one of the congregants and came to our shul. And afterwards he turned to me and he said in Hebrew, like, where in Israel are you from? And I was like, I'm not. you know, my parents are Israeli, so I spoke Hebrew was my first language, but he's like, oh, you know, when you pronounce words, I know that you have an Israeli accent. And it's things like this. So if I sang it, Boachem, then people will be like, oh, it's so Hebrew of you. It's so Israeli of you, you know? So there are things that I will, you know, that I will change because that's how we do it. And, you know, in order to conform to what everybody's doing. But it's funny when I sang that word, I'm like, Debbie's right. We do say, oh, like that sometimes, you know? So like I said, I'm trying to teach you like the way, like this is how we do it. And sometimes in prayer or in, I don't want to say translation, but in, you know, in practicality, it comes out a little different. Just like I said, it's coffee or it's coffee, spelled the same way, just pronounced differently. You know, and like I told you, the Sephardic Jews will pronounce that ayin with a guttural back of their throat. It's ayin, right? And so you'll be able to tell a Sephardi, you know, or you know, a Sephardi Jew, you know, who learned Hebrew in the Sephardi way from that way, the way they say it. We don't do that in our conservative Ashkenazi world, right? And again, in the Orthodox Ashkenazi world, that taf, like the word in line 7, the word tseetchem, right? They would say tseeschem.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have the dot in the middle. And they go by that where it's, you know, sa if there's no dot in it. So you'll hear that, right? So if you go to somebody's house for Seder or for Shabbat dinner or whatever, you'll hear that. So, you know, I'll give you that like little tidbit when I come across it. So, okay, I'm going to send out the review with pages 25, 26, 31. And the whatever link I'm going to use for you guys to sign up for one of those classes the week of April 3rd. And we have, you know, we have 3 weeks until that happens. So
Can we do both classes?
you can do both classes, of course.
Oh,
You might be bored, but you can do both classes. That's fine. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. And you know, I have to say, you guys are doing a great job. I know you're doing work at home, because if not, then you wouldn't have been able to follow along and participate today. So I know you guys are working. And, you know, and I'm proud of you. Because it's more than just coming to the class. You know, it takes, you know, even 5-10 minutes once or twice a week to review it before the next class. And some of you have missed classes. So it's, you know, it's difficult. And
I
if you
think
are
the
trying to
teacher-
catch up, say
I
again,
think
Alice.
I think the teacher makes a difference too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank
She
you.
can make you or break you.
So in that vein, and I know it's almost 8:30 and we usually don't go this long, but in that vein, let me ask you this and just think about it. We'll talk about it when we have more time. Julia was asking, like, if you guys like your classes and you'd like to continue as a group and you like the students and the students like you and that sort of thing, what would you like to learn next? So I'll throw that at you. Some of the things are, okay, let's start reading prayers. Let's do a Friday night service and make sure we know how to read everything, and a Saturday morning, and, you know, different things, and know how to read them. The other idea is to start learning the meanings of the prayers also, as we like read them and go through them, and maybe understand the meanings of the prayers, so that when we're standing there and we're bowing or we're sitting versus standing, we know why, right? Another option is like beginning Hebrew and doing some vocabulary and that sort of thing. Another is I think that's about it. Oh, they mentioned Torah reading, but I think you need to be much more well-versed in reading Hebrew before you read Torah. So again, like doing more like, okay, let's read the prayers Saturday and Friday night, Saturday. Let's get to know those and read them through and that sort of thing. The other was leading services. Like if you wanted to like learn the tunes to lead services and things like that.
I could never keep up with the Kaddish. Everyone does it so quickly. I can't, I mean, it's like, you know, and
right. So that is, it's funny. at my synagogue, not only do they do Kaddish, but they do the Kaddish de Rabbanan. I don't know if any of your synagogues do. And when my father died, I was like, oh my God, I gotta learn this. I never knew it because I just listened to it. I never knew it. And I actually during my father's shiva sat down and read it and learned it because I was so nervous I wouldn't be able to follow along with people at synagogue. And so I know how that feels. So I just wrote that down because we're going to get to the end of the curriculum before the end of when the classes end, which is June 12th. And so Kaddish is something that definitely will be one of the first things we make sure to go over. That's very important. So that it's bad enough you have to say Kaddish, and then to not be able to follow along or not be able to read it or whatever, that's, adds another layer onto an already crappy day, or few days, or, year, 11 months or 30 days or whatever. So
Lymor, will we do anything with the Haggadah?
yes. So I was saying that before you came on. The reason that April 3rd date is so important to me, April 3rd and April 10th, I'm going to pick certain lines of the Haggadah that are more popular. Like I said, the Magid isn't so popular, right? And some people do different pieces of it, but like V'hi She'amda, or or one of the cups of wine, or the blessing on Karpas, or something like that. And that's what we're going to go over on the 3rd and the 10th. We're not going to learn anything new. We're just going to go over some stuff for the Haggadah so that you guys can, show off your new skills at the Seder. And not only to show off the new skills, but participate and feel like you're participating and you're not being left behind. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to devote the 3rd and the 10th, which is why the 3rd, I realized I'm on a plane. So I want to make the 3rd happen, whether it's on the 3rd or the 4th or another day during the week that we meet privately or whatever. I'm happy to do it.